The modern world doesn't run on oil, factories, or even money. It runs on attention, not the casual, accidental kind, but the kind that shapes behavior and can be measured, bought, and sold. For most of history, value came from physical resources, land, metals, machinery, labor. But somewhere between the rise of television and the invention of the smartphone, the economy shifted. A new resource emerged, one that was invisible, unregulated, and infinitely scalable: human focus. Every click, every scroll, every single second of screen time became a unit of value. And today, the institutions that control our attention also control the economy that sits on top of it. This is the story of how a simple psychological trait became an economic asset, and why the future will be built around the competition for your mind. To really understand attention, you first need to understand scarcity. Money is scarce. Oil is scarce. Time is scarce. But human attention is the rarest of them all. You can produce more money. You can drill for more oil. You can build more factories. But you cannot create more hours in a day. You can't manufacture more cognitive capacity. You can't just generate more focus out of thin air. Humans have a hard limit: 24 hours of existence. Maybe 3 to 4 hours of real concentration and only a few seconds of decision-making at a time. And whenever something is scarce, it becomes valuable. The economy didn't just decide to chase attention. Attention was simply the last scarce resource left to exploit. For decades, media companies lived by a simple logic: attract attention, then sell it to advertisers. Newspapers counted readers. Radio stations counted listeners. TV networks counted households. Attention was always the product, but it was slow, it was predictable, and it was limited. Then the internet arrived. And it did something no other medium could. It measured attention in real time. Every tap, every pause, every swipe, every replay, every hover, every click-through, every abandonment, every preference, every impulse. The system learned not just what people watched, but how long, when, where, how often, in which mood, and for what reason. Attention stopped being a vague concept. It became data, and any resource that becomes measurable is tradable. The modern attention economy was born the moment technology learned to quantify human behavior. But technology didn't just measure attention, it learned how to steer it. Algorithms replaced editors, feeds replaced schedules, notifications replaced programming. Platforms evolved from being passive distributors to active manipulator systems designed not just to show you content, but to shape your decisions. This wasn't because of ideology. It wasn't about morality. It was pure economics. If attention creates money, then maximizing attention becomes the business model. And what maximizes attention? Emotion, novelty, conflict, identity, reward, fear, belonging, recognition. These aren't just cultural ideas. They are biological triggers. Ancient neurological levers that were optimized for our survival are now being monetized for engagement. The attention economy isn't built on technology. It's built on psychology. But the most powerful transformation didn't happen on our screens. It happened in the marketplace. Advertising used to be a blunt tool. You'd estimate your audience, pay for exposure, and hope someone reacts. Today, it's a financial instrument. Predict behavior by microseconds of attention, trigger an action, and measure the outcome. Your attention is no longer simply observed. It is auctioned. In the milliseconds it takes for a web page to load, your past behavior, demographics, location, interests, and predicted desires are all analyzed by automated bidding systems. Advertisers compete in real time for the right to appear in front of you because your attention has been assigned a monetary value by an invisible market. You don't see it, you don't interact with it. But your mind is a commodity, traded billions of times every single day. The rise of attention as currency completely reshaped the structure of the economy. Entire industries reorganize themselves around capturing, sustaining, and converting your attention. Entertainment shifted from finite experiences to infinite feeds. News shifted from reporting to urgency-driven narratives. Retail shifted from window shopping to targeted suggestions. Politics shifted from persuasion to outrage optimization. Education shifted from knowledge to engagement metrics. Product design shifted from usefulness to stickiness. Work shifted from tasks to notifications. The economy stopped competing for money. It started competing for time. The most valuable companies today, Google, Meta, TikTok, Netflix, Amazon, they aren't really selling products. They are selling attention. Or they're using attention to sell everything else. But attention has an unusual property. The more aggressively you extract it, the more fragile it becomes. Humans are not built for endless stimulation. The brain adapts, it gets numb, and it demands more and more intensity for the same effect. This leads to a paradox. The attention economy is booming, while attention itself is collapsing. We're seeing shorter focus spans, constant distraction, rising anxiety, overloaded cognitive systems. People are more connected than ever, yet less present than ever. This isn't some moral decline, it's an economic side effect. When attention becomes the currency, the system pushes consumption beyond healthy limits because the incentives reward extraction, not preservation. And there's another consequence. When attention becomes the foundation of value, the institutions that control attention become the new gatekeepers of reality. Whoever controls the feed controls the narrative. They influence what people fear, what they celebrate, what they desire, what they assume, what they believe, and even what they remember. Not with force, but with frictionless suggestion. Not with censorship, but with prioritization. The attention economy doesn't tell people what to think. It simply decides what they see long enough to think about. But the rise of attention as currency also created something unexpected, a new class of individuals. Creators. Ordinary people, artists, teachers, comedians, analysts, historians. Storytellers. Experts who can now compete with massive institutions simply by earning attention at scale. The democratization is real. The opportunity is real. And the consequences are real. For the first time in history, an individual's attention can generate institutional-level revenue, which in turn generates influence, which shapes society. Attention is no longer just a currency. It's a pathway to power. But there is a final layer that explains why attention became the defining currency of the 21st century. The collapse of trust in traditional institutions. When people stopped relying on governments, newspapers, and cultural authorities to interpret the world for them, they turned toward platforms, influencers, and algorithm systems that respond instantly, personalize endlessly, and adapt at the speed of desire. And the more that trust fragmented, the more valuable attention became. Because attention is not just focus. Attention is permission to influence, persuade, entertain, or redirect behavior. That permission used to belong to broadcasters, publishers, and national networks. Now it belongs to whoever can capture a moment long enough to leave a psychological trace. This shift transformed attention from a passive state into an active economic resource, one that determines which ideas spread, which products win, which leaders rise, and which narratives survive. In a world of infinite information, the scarce commodity isn't knowledge. It's the ability to make people care. So what comes next? The attention economy is entering a new phase, one defined by artificial intelligence that produces infinite content. Platforms that predict behavior before it even happens. Creators that operate like micro-companies. Audience fragmentation into tiny microcultures. Identity itself becoming a form of engagement. And algorithms shifting from recommendation to total personalization. The world is moving toward a model where each person receives a custom reality one feed for each mind. Attention will not just be captured, it will be engineered. And in that world, value will be defined not by how much attention someone gets, but by how much influence they gain from it. This is not a story about screens. It is not a story about technology. It is a story about economics. The modern economy organizes itself around whatever is scarce. And today, the rarest resource left is not oil, land, time, or money. It is the human mind. Attention is the currency. Platforms are the banks. Creators are the new merchants. Algorithms are the market. And every second you give away becomes part of someone else's balance sheet. This isn't a story about distraction. It's a story about how the economy quietly restructured itself around the competition for what you look at, for what you react to, for what you think about, for the moments that shape your choices one fraction of a second at a time. Thanks for watching. If you found this valuable, consider subscribing for more.